Okay, so Acuro is a local charity. So I'm the fundraising manager at Acuro, and our charity is support for people with disability, but it's really about empowering people with disability to be able to make friends, make those friendships that give you confidence and therefore independence and a real better quality of life. So really giving people happiness and health. But also we give really good short-term respite for families and carers, which is just as important really, and it allows families to cope. So we pop up all over West Essex, and our main hubs are Saffron Walden, Dunmow, Harlow and Epping and Loughton. So it's very much a West Essex wide charity, and the support that we give is very varied. We have groups for adults, we have groups for young adults, and then we have youth clubs for people that are kind of secondary age, and then we do go to 8 years old actually in Saffron Walden. So very, very varied, lots of social activity, loads of outings. It's very much about fun, friendship and happiness, but the impact that you see, that kind of domino effect, is really, really impressive. It's amazing. But the one thing that we do have at the moment are a lot of waiting lists. We're trying to work out strategies to be able to shorten those waiting lists and get more people into services, because people do need that support. So really important. My background is actually in catering. So my husband and I had a restaurant in Bishop Stortford for 22 years. And we're very much event caterers and also fine dining caterers within the restaurant. But I became poorly and I needed some support from a charity. This is about, I want to say 15 years ago, something like that. And I found that my, you hear about people having a vocation and saying, I want to be a vet, that's what I'm going to do. And I had that kind of light bulb moment where I thought, actually, it's lovely serving food to people and it is wonderful, but I need to help people. I need to help people that need support. So I decided, and with the support of my husband, that we would give me that freedom to be able to see whether I could progress a career in the third sector. And I looked at my skill sets, and basically I was doing everyone's wedding. So it was events that I was good at. And I went into community and event fundraising and have progressed from there. So I have been in regional and in national and local charities, and actually where my network works best is where it's local, sort of local to me. I've got a lot of contacts, and that I feel is where I can do the most good, if you like, and give the most back. So I do very much find that I work best in a local environment. So yeah, that's how I came to be a fundraiser and came to be in a local charity. And I have to admit, I don't have anyone in my immediate family that would need support of the services that we give for people with disability. But what I really, really relate to is the respite, because I've had 3 kids and I know how hard it can be when you're getting through the terrible twos. And I really, really understand the need for families to have that break from their care responsibilities, to be able to just gather themselves and be able to keep going. So that's the bit that I really relate to and quite passionate about. So yeah, that's why I'm here. Mothers, as women, we very much nurture, and so it's very important to be able to get an emotional response from the work that we do. This is by no means saying this is everyone, because you can't have one big broad brushstroke that covers every person. But the women that I know, and there are a lot of women that work in the charity sector, especially because a lot of roles are part-time and you can really fit that around the flexibility you need for your home life. But there is very much that empathetic care kind of side to women that really does fit with the charity sector. It is so interesting that the vast majority of fundraisers that I know are women. And the vast majority of people actually in any role in the care side of things are women. So yeah, maybe that is true, but I would not be happy working in a role that I didn't feel that I was making a difference in, or that I was able to feel that I could give something to that. I would not want to work in a job that I wasn't happy getting up every morning and going into, for sure. I got 1.5 really, because something has happened recently, which is just, oh, please, could you help us with this? But the big wish is that we do have staff vacancies at the moment in Uttlesford, because we've had a few people that have moved on, they've relocated, And we are in a place where we are going to potentially have to restructure one of our projects if we're going to be able to keep it open because of staff issues. So I wish that the most fantastic coordinator for our club will fall out of the sky and help us to run this particular service. So recruitment is a big thing for us. Just at this point in time, it's something that is an immediate need. But the half wish that we had, we actually have just relaunched a Facebook page because we've had a few issues with our old one, and I just wish everyone would sign up to it and like us. Fantastic. So we're on Acuro Essex on Facebook, and I wish everyone would just follow us on that. That would be lovely. Do a lot of networking, community engagement at Acuro, and it is one of the main ways that we build a support base, and that is either through individuals and people that actually need our services. We need to go and make sure that they know where to find us. It's really, really important. But also it's kind of telling people about what we do. We do quite a lot of different things. We work with lots of different age groups. And we need to have the sort of structure to be able to tell those stories, so that we can talk about our case studies and talk about the impact that we make. And that would be so that people can hear and know that we can support them. People can hear and know that there is a local charity that they may wish to support. And also there's things that you need sometimes, like maybe printing, or you might need to advertise or get sponsorship or something like that. And the best way of doing that is just by making relationships. And the way to do that is to network, to go to community events, to host your own community events. So I think they're hugely important. I'm really happy to meet anyone and everyone and have a conversation. But I think it's important as well that you make sure that you're covering all your area, but you're not spending all your time out there networking, because you have to follow it up. There's no point going out and having a really nice couple of hours if you don't follow up those connections and you don't start the conversations that are going to get both you and the person that you're talking to somewhere. So, but it's hugely important. I think that it's not only important for charities like ours, but it's important for everyone, whether you're a solo trader, whether you're a small business, whether you're a really big accountancy somewhere. You've got to be in touch with people, and the way to do that is I prefer one-to-one. Actually, I prefer to be in a room with people, but that is by networking and just talking and making people realize that you're just a human, you know. And have those connections. It's really, really good. I love the fact that we're back out there after COVID as well. It's fantastic, isn't it? It's really good. So yeah, really important. With charity work, I think if you volunteer, if you go and look for volunteer opportunities, that is a really good way to firstly understand that organisation, and is that the part of the sector that you want to be involved with. So for example, with Acuro, you can volunteer to be in one of our services, but if you don't want to work with adults, you can be in one of our services that looks after young people and children. But also you could do things like media, you could do things that are to do with social media, you could come in and do some office admin. You could, if you want to, if you're an adult and want to do something but you don't want responsibility, for example, of looking after clubs or being in the office, you could come and do some gardening. So there's lots of different opportunities, but that gives you so much insight into not only the organisation but the impact of that organisation. Our volunteers are constantly coming back and saying, I just didn't realise, I just didn't know, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I'm doing this. But for younger guys, so if you're in sixth form or you're at college, you would be able to volunteer, and you would then potentially be able to move into a job role. So if you wanted to start to get in to that sector, you can take those steps. And then that gives you such an amazing thing on your CV to have when you want to maybe go forward for further training. But we give training here. We have to train our staff members. So there's all sorts of things that you learn, but that would be a really big thing to go in and volunteer and find out all about it and ask questions. Don't be at all shy about trying to find out more information. I think that's really, really important as well. So we've got, for example, a podcast. Someone could come in and volunteer to host that podcast, and through hosting that, they could ask questions of our staff and that could be put forward onto our Cure Out Loud podcast, and then that could be helpful to other people to find out about us. So there's all sorts of ways that we can help people. I would shout out for Emma Robson at Stalk Valley Spirits and Gifting, because she introduced me to your network. So, and she was very complimentary and said, you really ought to do that. So, okay. And she's been incredibly supportive of not only me, but the charity, but other charities as well. And she's really good actually to talk to in a kind of a commercial sense about what is it that, if I'm having a conversation with a business, what is it that you can do to support each other? You know, it's a mutual beneficial relationship. So I would say definitely give a shout out to Emma. She's got lovely products, yeah, and she's just really, really supportive, and she does a lot of networking and will connect people through her networking, which is, it's not just all about her and what she can get out of it. She will share and make sure that other people get connected. So yeah, shout out to Emma. I guess the other thing I'd like to mention is just how people can find out more about the work that we do at Acuro. There's lots of ways in, so you can have a look at our website, which is acuro.org.uk. We're on social media. I already mentioned Facebook, but we are Acuro Essex on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. And we're also on LinkedIn. You can find me, Sue Fishpool, on LinkedIn as well. So really to ask people to engage with the kind of things that we're putting up there, maybe sign up to our newsletter to get sort of first stabs at what's going on. We have loads of events in the local community that we have a calendar of going through the year, but not only just events that are fundraising, but we try to pop up in the community to give people an opportunity to come and find out more about our work. So for example, last week we were in Saffron Walden and we had a couple of members of our Stride workshop, which is for young adults, and that's a life skills workshop, and they were on the stall. So you could actually talk to some of our members and find out more about us. So that's something that I think would be really brilliant, is if people could engage with our work, find out what we do. The podcast is a really good entry into that as well. There's lots of different episodes. We do one a month, and they talk about our clubs, they talk about our challenges, all the different things that we have involved there. And we'd love to invite people to come on as guests too. So yeah, if you fancy coming on a podcast, please do join us. We would love to hear from you. And that is Acuro Out Loud, and there's lots and lots of ways to listen to that. The usual ways, wherever you access your podcast, you'll be able to find us.